Hello, I'm Eileen Roach, the founder of Designs in Machine Embroidery, and I'm so glad you're joining us today for this patch party. You know, patches are something that every embroiderer gets asked to make at some point during their, hobby or career, whatever you want to call it. But you're interested in embroidery, you'll find you have a friend, a neighbor, a family member, or even yourself. You'll have a need for patches. And they're for a lot more uses than just uniform names and the like. You're going to be amazed at the party we can have with patches. And they're easy to make, and any machine can make them because they're small, right? So even a machine that has a small sewing field of 4x4 will have great success with making patches. Well, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our friend Sue Hardin at the Sewing Gallery in West Virginia. So let's welcome in Sue. Hi,
Great.
Sue.
It's nice to be on this show with you. I'm a fan of yours.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you to say.
So we're excited to see what's new in the patch world with dime today.
Well, really, it's all about using the right materials, the right fabric, the right thread, needle, and stabilizer. And if you have that combination correct, your patches are going to be flawless.
Right. I agree totally. And it takes all of those products to end up with success at the end of a patch.
Absolutely. And speaking about success, we had a moment to chat earlier about, how much you had to kind of pivot during the last 2 years and how you've been able to serve your customers during all this pandemic. So, kudos to you, Sue. I know it's not easy to pivot like that in the business world, but here you are thriving online, and wow, that's awesome.
Yes. It's been challenging, but thanks to good friends and good employees, we've not survived. We succeeded through the process and the daily changes, weekly changes. No 2 days are the same now. You just got to roll with it.
That's right. That's right. So you have some favorite dime products. So why don't you share what they are?
Well, I love the magnetic hoops in all the sizes because, especially if you've got a beginner starting out, the regular hoops of trying to force everything down in and close it up is real hard. But with the magnetic, it's just simple. And then the ones that's been embroidering for years, they just get the wow factor. They wish it would have been out much sooner or introduced to them sooner than now. But I love them because you can just snap them together. You go with your design. I think it takes about 5 or 10 minutes away, especially when you're setting up your designs.
That's right. And really, it's the setup that seems to be the most challenging in any embroidery project. And so if we can eliminate that hassle for the hooping, boy, I'm all in, right?
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, that's great.
But
well,
today's
topic is all about patches. So we have an expert that's going to lead the class today, Sue. Now, Ashley Jones is actually our lead educator at Dime. She's been with us for a long time. I don't want to say since the beginning of time, but a long time at Dime. And she's very talented. She's an IT wizard and an embroidery expert. So let's welcome in Ashley Jones from Key Largo, Florida. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Eileen. Good to see you. Nice to meet you, Sue. Thanks for hosting with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to share all about patches. I think it's something that consumers love to learn about. They want that professional look on their embroidery machine that they use every day at home. So we're going to share those details with them. So I'm pretty excited.
Absolutely. And they're going to be amazed how easy it is. They can truly have success right away. And I love that. So
yeah, super easy.
So should we get out of Ashley's way and just let her take over?
Let's let her take over. We're excited. Let's go, Ashley.
Thanks, Eileen. Thanks, Sue. Okay, guys, so welcome to our patch party. But before we get started, I want to share with you one additional person. I want to welcome in Diana Mullins Atkinson onto the screen. Hey, Diana, how are you?
Hi, Ashley. I'm great.
Good. It's always good to see you. So everyone, Diana's going to be helping over in the chat. Diana has a lot of years of experience with embroidery as well. So ask her questions over in the chat. She'll be over there answering. And then also, Diana and I will reconvene roughly about every 30 minutes to answer some of your questions live. Right, Diana?
That's right. So don't be afraid to type in your comments and your questions because we love hearing from you.
Yeah.
And we've already got a pretty active group, Ashley, saying they love their Snap Hoop Monsters. They're all saying hello to Sue. And we, again, want to thank Sue for hosting today.
Absolutely. Oh, I totally agree. So, well, perfect. I really appreciate your help over there, Diana. So then if you're okay, you can head over to the chat and I will get started and I'll see you back in just a bit.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you. Okay, guys, so today is our patch party. So what do you say we get this party started? So I love talking about patches. In fact, patch is a huge part of Dime's heritage. So I want to first share a short little story with you that I think that you'll enjoy. So designs and machine embroidery is what we, affectionately refer to as Dime. And you guys know that the founder of Designs and Machine Embroidery is Eileen Roach. Well, Eileen Roach has a business partner, Gary Gardner, that grew up in the commercial embroidery industry. Gary's father, Marvin, actually owned a business called Dallas Cap and Emblem. So Dallas Cap and Emblem made patches for a variety of different companies and service industries. And in fact, they have made patches for NASA. So this display hangs in the wall of Dime headquarters in Dallas, Texas, and we are very proud of this heritage. So in this display, you'll see patches from missions like Mercury, Gemini, and even the Apollo mission. So I bet you guys are familiar with this photo. This is the three astronauts when they returned from the moon. But look at the patches on their flight suits. So those were actually created by Dallas Cap and Emblem. So our patches actually have gone to the moon and back. So I love that. So this also hangs in the hallway. It's one of the actual patches that did go to the moon. And it is accompanied with a letter from President Nixon thanking Mr. Gardner for his participation in the program. So as I said, near and dear to our heart, right? What a cool story. And since Dime is your solutions company, what better company to teach you how to make patches on your home embroidery machine? We definitely have the history, we have the knowledge, we have the products. So we're going to show you how to put it all together and make those patches on your embroidery machine to get those professional looking patches. Now, I bet most of you guys are here because, well, patches are fun, they're creative, and they solve problems. Not to mention, they are always hot. Like, they are great for a variety of uses. So if you're over there in the chat, tell me what is your favorite thing to do with patches. So do you like the idea of leaving the patches freestanding, or do you like to sew them on an item? Do you like to fuse them on? Are you putting them on your bags? Just tell us what you want to use your patches for. We'd love to hear. So let me show you some things that we've done here at Dime with some of the patches that we've created. So we think they're great travel souvenirs. So I love this. They are perfect for kids. Very good for kids to be able to decorate their own items, their backpacks, jackets, so they can just be fused into place. Notebooks even, hats possibly. Patches are also great for adults, right? So we want to, enjoy patches too, and we're just a bunch of big kids. So luggage tags, tote bags, great for patches. Those hard to hoop items that you maybe want to personalize, you can do with patches. So many things that you can put your patches on. If you ever have wanted to put a large embroidery design on a sleeve or a pant leg, but you did not want to deconstruct the item, that's another great use for patches. They're great for insignias, showing that you are a part of a group or awards. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do with patches. So I love this. And they're just so creative. You can actually use any of your creativity that you use in your regular embroidery with your patches. So you can use them as freestanding gift tags if you'd like. And once the gift is unwrapped, that makes a great commemorative souvenir. They're perfect for your hard to hoop items. We kind of mentioned this a little bit. Small items. You can use them to add names, monograms. Great for long distance personalization. As anybody in your family or a friend from a faraway state or city asked you to personalize something with your embroidery machine. So it's really easy to just tuck a patch in an envelope. So, and one thing you can do is include washing and ironing instructions. So you can send that in the mail. It's really easy. Also, adding those creative touches, like we said, you can use all of your creativity from your regular embroidery, which means you can use three-dimensional foam. So we have these foam shapes in our program that we're going to talk about today. You can use Mylar to add a little bit of extra glisten to your patch. So behind a fill stitch to get some sparkle. You can also add some sparkle with our King Star metallic thread. So we love using our King Star metallic stitches really nicely, and it was perfect on our patches. Now, patches can be really large, or of course they can be really small too, but you're really only limited by the size of your hoops. You can make a very large patch. Patches are great for awards and commemorative souvenirs, like we've already mentioned a little bit, but awards for kids. What about family gatherings? If you guys have a annual gathering of maybe it's a group of friends or a family, you could make a patch for that gathering. I think that's a great option. Camping trips, but also weddings and achievements. There's just so many things that you can do. And as we know, patches solve problems. Now, for years, we have been putting patches on the knees of little kids' pants to cover holes, and that's a great way to use your patches. Now, I don't know about you, but my patches were never that cute. They were just a solid piece of fabric usually, but you can make some really cute patches to cover stains, holes, maybe even an outdated logo if you'd like. So this was a little lunch kit that I had, and I used it a patch to cover up the logo that was already there, outdated schools, but still use the items. Those hoopable items like shoes, beach chairs, even structured hats. We can flatten out a unstructured hat to embroider, but the structured ones, a little bit more challenging if you don't have a tubular machine to stitch with. Also, children's items, or anyone, not just children's, that have sensitive skin. Our embroidery can feel a little scratchy against the skin. So instead of stitching right on an item, it's easy to apply a patch. Or those areas that are tiny, like the little bitty sleeve of this cute little baby bodysuit, putting a little patch there, someplace that I probably never could have opened up enough to get to my under my embroidery machine needle. So, okay, so today's event, so that's some inspiration to get you started, get your creative juices kind of flowing. But let me share with you how this event is going to work today. So we are going to show you everything you need to know about making patches. And in fact, we have a free design for you so that you can stitch your patches right at home. So this cute little artist palette patch is just an adorable way to get started if you've never done a patch. To get your free design, you're going to scroll down to the bottom of the shopping cart and add that item to your cart. So watch for an email so that you'll get that download. It is a download item, so you'll be able to play with your new patch right away. So I want to share with you how exactly to use our shopping cart area. So let's take a look at this short video of how to use the shopping area.
For the event, you'll be watching in this window. And while you're watching the presentation, just be careful not to click on those corner logos. If you do, it'll actually take you over to YouTube, and that is not where the action is happening. So to get back to the presentation, just click your previous tab. To the right of the window is our chat area. So make sure you're asking us all your questions. Type in the chat, tell us where you're watching from. We love to hear from you guys. Today's event is a shop and learn event. So underneath the presentation, You can make specially priced purchases right here without leaving this page. So click that View Product button and then click to add that item to your cart. These special prices are good for the next 48 hours. You can rewatch the presentation and continue to shop these special prices. Now, let's go get that free design. So scroll down to the bottom of the first page and click the Next Page button. This will load additional product for you. So when you scroll down to the bottom of that page, you'll see your free design. So click the View Product button and then click to add your free design to your cart. Once you're done shopping, you can click the Checkout button. This will open up a new page. This is very important. To get your free shipping, click your Show Order Summary. This is where you'll see the box to enter your free ship code. For today's event, you'll get free shipping to any U.S. address. Once you're done shopping, scroll down and click the Continue to Shipping.
Don't forget, you can take advantage of these prices for the next 48 hours, but also, more importantly, you can rewatch this presentation as many times as you'd like throughout the weekend. So your free ship code today is Washington. So make sure that you put that in when you check out to get free shipping to any U.S. address. So now let's get on to some more of our details of the presentation. So the patch stitching process. So take a look at this short little video here. This is going to show you the entire process from start to finish, how easy it is. So now to stitch a patch on your embroidery machine, you want to make sure that you use a heavy-duty water-soluble stabilizer. And we'll go over these details throughout the presentation. So this is the perfect stabilizer for your patch because it gives you nice clean edges and it's strong enough to hold up to our stitching. So the design for your patch should stitch a placement line. That placement line lets you know where to place your patch material, very similar to an applique. So once you stitch your shape, you then will place down your patch material. Now in this case, I have pre-cut my patch material so that it is perfect and I don't have to trim after the fact, but you can do it either way you like. So then you're going to have a tack down stitch to hold that in place. And then you want to stitch the remainder of the design. So in this case, we're stitching the detail of the little artist palette. And once it's all done, you'll stitch the finishing stitch around the edge. Now you want to stitch that satin stitch, that finishing stitch last so that you don't prematurely perforate your stabilizer. So once that is done, you can then just remove and take it right out of the hoop. It really is that simple. So it should be finishing up here. And then we will take that off of the machine and rip it right out of the stabilizer. How easy is that? Isn't that awesome? And you have those nice clean edges. So that's how simple it is to make a patch. So we're going to go over everything that you need to know today, how to make a patch. You want to make sure you're using the right design, the right patch material, and the right stabilizer, as we just saw in that little short video. And of course, we're going to share with you all of those techniques throughout the presentation. So now, where do you start? Well, the design is a great place to start because we want to have a good patch design to make sure we get a good stitch out. So now, I would love to hear from you guys in the chat. What would you put on a patch? If you could put any design that's out there on a patch, what would it be? So tell us over in the chat. We love to hear from you guys. So now here at Dime, we create our patches in our Patch and Applique Maker software program. This actually installs on your computer and it makes creating and designing patches super, super simple because we have over 4,300 built-in designs that are ready to stitch that you can select from, but you certainly can create your own patch from designs that you already own if you'd like. And of course, you can add text for personalization. So let's see the software program in action. And then I'm going to show you some examples of some of the things that I have made with the software that you might be interested in making as well. So let me head over to the Patch and Applique Maker software. I'm going to show you how simple this is to use. So in the Patch and Applique Maker program, all of these icons here, the first 4 that you see actually are all free designs that are related to patches and appliques. So we're actually going to start with the catalog. So the design catalog is a list of applique designs, and there are a lot of these that can be used as patches, but then we also have some really awesome patch categories as well. Remember I told you that you can put foam in your design. These shapes here are meant to be used with foam around the outside to give you a really cool raised border. But we have cute little designs for all different types of interest. Of course, we have a sewing category, because why would we not, right? We have a huge sports category, even vehicles, all of the states. You could make a patch shaped like your state. And even these cute little sewing merit badges here. So the sewing merit badge is where I want to start because it's the easiest place to get going. Look at all these cute little designs that are ready to be stitched out. So cool, so happy. Runs with scissors. I love thread. Keep calm and stitch, keep calm and hoop. So such adorable options. So I'm just going to choose one of these, and we're going to start with the very basics of this patch design. So now I love this one too here. This one, I collect embroidery machines. That's another really cute one, but I'm going to do I love thread. So I think that's a good patch to have. So now here's my thread patch. So now first and foremost, I want to show you the very easiest way to get started. This patch is actually ready to be stitched. So you do not have to do anything to it unless you want to, and then you just save it to your format. You could resize the design here. If you wanted, the software does recalculate the stitch count, so you could make it larger if you'd like. We can change the color so that we can visually see what this is going to look like on the screen if we want. So really easy to do. But when you're done, just making your few changes, you can save it. So File, Save As allows you to save in all of your popular embroidery machine formats. So you can see from this list, we can save to any machine format that you need to stitch on, even commercial formats. So I love that. So save it, take it to your embroidery machine, and it's ready to stitch. But I want to show you how you can take this a step further and do some more customizing to your patches. So let's open up a new page here, and I'm going to click to open up our designs again. And I want to show you that each of these, you can see, has a plus sign underneath. So we have a category that has patches, but then we have parts and we have patches underneath. So a lot of these designs are already created as a patch for you. In fact, I'm going to go to the party category and start there because you guys are going to love this. So I'm going to show you how to create a patch tag that you can use for a gift, for embellishing a gift. So look at the party category. I love that we have these cute little applique gift boxes, and we have the cupcakes, the party hats, balloons. And so I want to use this cute little birthday box as a gift tag for a birthday gift. So I'm going to go into the patch category because it actually is already created into a patch for me. So I'm going to say okay and add that to the screen. Now, we have already talked about this. You certainly can change these colors to anything that you like, and you can add text as well. So let's add some text here. So I'm going to choose my text tool, add that to the screen. And so let me scroll up here, and then we're going to zoom in so that we can see a little bit closer. So whoops, I'm going to do an undo there too. And then let's zoom into our text. Select it. I'm going to move that out of the way here. Okay, so now let's put the text in the box here for what we want to say. For this little gift tag, I'm going to put happy birthday. We're going to make this a happy birthday tag.
And when I put my text, I'm going to say apply, and it puts that onto the screen. So then let's zoom out again here to our text. Now here in our Patch and Applique Maker, we have a nice selection of text. We have some regular satin stitch text. We have a monogram option that is an applique monogram. We have some micro text, which is great for your small patches. And we also have some applique text because those individual letters make perfect patches. So I'm going to select this cursive option here. And I want to edit this text in different ways. So your text editing options here, if I select my text tool, click back on my text again, it'll bring up my options that I'm looking for. Each of these little handles here do something different. So you can click to make it larger or smaller. You can change the shape of your text, so you can make it convex or concave. Either direction, it can be both or one direction. So look at that. So super simple, right? And I'm actually just going to do an undo back to our regular text so that we can see what's going on. And then I'm going to zoom in again since I have this text. And I just want to talk about these little double triangles here between our letters. So those actually are available for kerning your letters. So these actually look pretty good, but if there's ever an opportunity to adjust the kerning or a need to adjust the kerning, you can just drag those little double arrows to scoot your letters either closer together or further apart. So isn't that neat? And in this case, I'm actually going to put my happy birthday on 2 lines. So I'm just going to do that and then click my apply button. And I can put this right over my text box. Let's change it to a color that's really fun. And I can click and drag and put that right over my text, maybe even rotate it if I want. And I made it a little smaller than I like, so I may make it a little bit bigger again. So really easy to do. But we've got this cute little gift tag. Now for stitching a patch, it's going to stitch a placement line just like our applique. We'll put down our patch fabric, and then it's going to stitch the remainder of that on our patch fabric. Now, the other thing we need is a cute little hanging option. So I'm going to use the drawing tools here to make a little circle and select that. Click to turn that into a satin stitch or a steel stitch, we call it in our software, and then kind of center that up. Well, I didn't do a good job centering. And so once I get that in the position that I want, I'm ready to take this to the embroidery machine. So, and I'll show you my example. What I did was I put the patch material on the back to cover as well, so that you kind of have a nice finished tag. But isn't that sweet? All we have to do then is save it and you're ready to go. Now these other categories here, this charm category, I want to show you this one. The charm category is actually miniature versions of the applique designs in the other catalog that we talked about. So as we scroll down here, I'm going to go to the party section because I bet you'll recognize this. So there's our little gift box that we were just using in our gift tag. So I'm going to select that and just move that off to the side just to show you a comparison. So those charms in this little category up here are miniature versions of our applique design. So you can use those in a completely different way. In fact, if you wanted to make your birthday gift tag maybe with a filled design like this rather than the applique, I could even use my free built-in shapes to do this. So in these shapes, we have all kinds of fun little categories here that you can use to create. Oh, I clicked too fast there. There we go. And these can all be shapes that you can turn into a patch. So we have all kinds of cute little categories. But I'm just going to go back to the objects and just use one of these little borders here. I think this would be good. So I'll select this one here. And when it adds it to the screen, I'm going to move that right over my little gift box here. And actually I have another idea. So what if I center this? Let's zoom in here to this one and let's put our text here. So if I use my text tool again, click on the screen, and if we add our happy birthday,
I'm going to put this on a circle path. So I'm going to put on 2 lines, and I need to spell it correctly. Let's choose a different text here. So maybe, I love the Bauhaus. That's always a fun one. And then that's our regular text. But if I just choose our center, or not our center, sorry, our circle option and click apply, we'll put that on a circle path, and I can make that smaller. I can even make the text smaller. Let's make the text a little bit smaller. And we could center that over our little birthday cake. So if I zoom out here, this allows me to put this here. And then I can use all of these little shapes here, just as we've seen, to adjust that to get it just exactly like I want. So isn't that cute? So many things you could do. And then you can put your little gift tag, your little eyelet there again, but just so many varieties of things you could do. The last thing I would do with any patch that I was going to stitch out would be to select the outline of the patch, so the patch shape itself. So in this case, our border shape here, and choose your style option. The style option actually is a set of rules that are built into the software that will make your design stitch out the best in each of these scenarios. So if you want to stitch a pre-cut patch, one where you pre-cut the patch shape, choose this option, and it actually will optimize the design to be stitched out with a pre-cut patch shape. Other options in these settings here would be to change it to a marrow stitch edge. That marrow stitch is the stitch that mimics the look of a marrow machine. I'm going to zoom in here to kind of show you. So look at that. Isn't that cool? So you can make your embroidery machine mimic the look of that marrow stitch. So I love that. So that's creating patches. And then once you've created it on the screen, you can just save that to any of your machine formats, and you're ready to take it to your embroidery machine to stitch. So super easy. And I absolutely love creating new patches. So let me show you really quick. We're going to go to our Q&A, but let me show you some examples under the camera before we do that. So I've got some examples of some things that I've created here. And so the cute little lemon patch, these actually are mostly all built into the software. So the lemon is in there. I added the text. The cute little animals are in there. These 2 patches here, I actually brought in my own design. So this is a built-in template, and I'll actually show you that in a bit. And I actually brought in a quilted block to use in this example. So you can use designs you already own. We have instruments, we have sports. I was even able to create this outline that is contoured to my letters. Really simple. Here's your little artist patch. And the artist patch is your free design, and you can see here I stitched it a couple of different ways. In this one, I pre-cut the patch shape so you don't see anything outside the edge. In this particular patch, I actually trimmed it after I stitched my satin stitch, so you see a little bit of a white border, which is another option for trimming. So it's really up to you, the designer. These examples have that cute little marrow finish, so it mimics the look of the marrow machine. So just so many different things that you could do with your patches. So let me show you my little birthday patch here. And a couple of other examples before we go to our Q&A. But look at that. Is that not cute? So let me give you a tip here. So you can see that I chose my colors. I have my patch material, which I'm going to tell you all about this patch material a little bit later. But I actually put the same piece of material, the same type, on the back when my satin stitch went to stitch to kind of cover up my stitches. So really easy to do. Now patches can be so many different things. Here I did a simple patch that just has a cutout in the center there in the shape of a letter. And it exposes my decorative fabric. And I saved the cutout and made it a completely different patch. So really simple to do. So many things. So I'm hoping that you guys are telling us over in the chat some of the things that you guys can, that you want to do with your patches for sure. So that is our patch and applique maker software. We'll actually see that several times throughout the presentation. But this program is what we're referring to, patch and applique maker, and it has tons of goodies. You can create your own patches. You can do patches with mylar foam and do applique also in this program. 410 different shapes. You guys saw me use one of those. 110 patch templates that you can use the charms. And I'll actually show you that in a bit. And replacing those little miniature designs in your patch. An easy way to do that. So tons of different things you can do. We do have help for learning this as well. And I'll show you that. But before we get too far past our time slot, let's see if we have any questions or comments. So Diana, what's going on over there in the chat?
Hi, Ashley. We have a great group today. We have folks from Virginia Beach, Virginia, which is one of my old hometowns. So I love Virginia Beach, Texas, and the Bay Area in California, another place that I love. So just all over. And some folks have told us like what they want to make patches for. And Jean was saying that she wants to make, learn to make patches for hard to hoop items. And so patches are great for hard to hoop items, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. That's actually a perfect use.
It is. And Tammy wants to make patches for bowling shirts. Isn't that a great idea?
Ooh, yeah, that is. I love to bowl. I haven't done it in years.
I think Tammy needs one that says something like Super Bowler or something like that.
Right.
And then Sheila wants to make patches for her grandkids because they do a lot of sports. So they need name tags and numbers and things. And
right,
so
great.
That leads to one of the questions, Ashley. You were showing the parts in the party category. Yeah. Is there a parts category under sports as well?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that there was. So when I go back in, I will make sure to show that. I'll double check. But yeah, and even if there is not the exact part you want, you can ungroup a design and take the parts away. But we give you those parts so that you don't have to do the ungrouping for a lot of them. So, but even if it's not there, you can certainly ungroup, and they can always bring in their own design too.
Absolutely. Great tip on ungrouping. And then you mentioned a term, Ashley, and we would like a little explanation, please.
Okay.
What exactly is kerning?
Oh, yes. So kerning is the spacing between your letters. A lot of times in a software program, they'll have an option they call kerning. We just give you those little arrows so that you can literally just move any space that you want. So I love that. I don't have to put in a number that spaces out all my letters or puts them closer together. I can actually adjust the kerning between two letters or several letters. It's really up to me. I like that.
I love that. And thank you, Ashley. You always make us smarter. We love that. And then, of course, we had a question about being Mac compatible. And I told them that, yes, we are fully Mac compatible. They don't need boot camp or parallels or anything else. Is that correct?
Right. That is absolutely correct. So that was an update that we did a while ago so that our Mac users could install right on their Mac OS. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And then one more question, but I think you're getting ready to talk about this, Ashley. One of our guests today asked, are there videos on YouTube for learning how to do the software?
That's great. So Diana, instead of answering here, I'll just go right back to my presentation because you're right. That was the next thing that's coming up. So we'll talk about those learning opportunities, exactly how they find them and all of the opportunities. So yeah, I'll do that right now if that's okay.
Perfect. We'll see you back in a bit.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So yes, there are plenty of options for learning your software, any Dime software, as a matter of fact. One of my favorite ones are built right into the program. So when you are inside of your software from Dime, if you hover over any of the icons, you'll see this little message pop out. It tells you what that icon is, like what the name of it is, and kind of a little description of what it does. And then it says press F2 for video. So however you get to your F2 on your keyboard, it may be a function F2 or just the F2 key. But getting to that F2 actually plays a video. So these videos will pop up in a browser when you press your F2 of that particular icon. It's a short little video that shows you exactly how to use it. So I think that that is really powerful. Once the video is done playing, you're still in your software and you can go right back to your designing. So that's the first way, and I think it's a really easy way. The other options for learning is if you go to our inspiredbydime.com page and click on the support option and choose the community forum from the drop down. This is a place where we've put all of these options in one spot. So the first 4 options are free to you. We have a Facebook user group that is monitored by us educators and other Dime team members. So you get answers to your questions, but also we have some amazing users over there that can answer questions as well. We do have videos on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, if you click that link on this page, it'll take you right there. There's a blog that Eileen has written post for a lot of years that actually has software information. And we have a community forum, which is another place that you can ask how-to questions and get answers from Dime members and other users. Now, the last 2 are 2 of my favorites. So we have Embroidery Success software lessons. These are PDF tutorials for the software pieces. So we have several of them for the Patch and Applique Maker software program, and you can purchase those. These 2 are purchasing items that you can purchase. Also, we have 30-minute tutoring sessions that you can schedule with one of our education team members to get any of the questions about your Patch and Applique Maker software answered. So those are fantastic ways to learn your software. Now, the last 2, like I said, are paid options, but lucky for you guys today, if you are purchasing the Patch and Applique Maker software, it actually comes with 1 free 30-minute private tutoring session and 5 PDF tutorials to help you learn your software. So I love that. So $299.99, that's actually the cost of our software by itself, but we are just including these 2 options as a way for you to have success with your software. So this bundle, the other nice thing is a download bundle. And actually this is a mistake there. That shouldn't be there. This is a download bundle that you can download and get right to playing. So watch for a email after you purchase your bundle for anything that is a download item. So the tutorials and also the lessons are a PDF download. Okay, so let's go ahead to our next option here. And that is the right material. You guys are going to love, love, love this. So the patch material that we use is one of the main ingredients in making patches, and that is the poly patch twill. If you've ever made a patch on your home embroidery machine and it doesn't look as professional as you would hope, it might be the material that you're stitching on, because we really need something that's strong and sturdy. We need something that has a nice fine texture or grain so that our text and our design shows up nicely. And that's exactly what the poly patch twill does. This is the product that the professionals use. It's a sturdy polyester fabric with an adhered, stable, non-woven backing. So this particular product is a nice, strong fabric, but it's not thick. So it's easy to be stitched on with any design that you want to put on your patch. The layers won't separate because it is put together at the factory, so you don't have to worry about the layers separating. It is long lasting and durable. And I'm going to show you this under the camera so you kind of get the idea of it. It also is a firm fabric. Like I said, it's not thick, but it is firm for stitching your patches. So they're going to hold up, keep their shape. The twill is smooth, so you're going to have crisp letters and the rest of your design. And it truly is the #1 ingredient in getting that professional patch at home. All the patches you've seen so far that we've shown you pictures of and under my camera were made with the poly patch twill. It comes in 3 different colorways, and each of these colorways have 8 different sheets, and it's a 9x24 sheet that you can make a ton of patches out of, depending on the size of them. So each of these colorways, we've got athletics, brights, and uniforms, and each one has 8 different sheets that are 9x24. So the athletics comes with those colors that you are accustomed to seeing in your athletic, your favorite athletic team. So those bright, bold colors. And we also have the brights, those fun, bright colors that you see here in this image. And also the uniform colors. Each of these colorways are $25.19 each. You're going to get 8 sheets. Each of these 8 sheets are a different color, and they're 9x24. So let me show you under my camera the Poly Patch Twill, and so you can see exactly why we love it. So I've got our colorways separated out here, and I have this one little piece, and this is what I want to start with. So this is one piece, and you can see I'm holding it by one end, but it's not drooping. It is a flexible, firm fabric, but it is by no means extremely thick, which is what you want. So I know it's hard to kind of tell on the camera, but as I roll it over there, you can see that it's not super thick. But because of the backing that is applied to the twill, it makes it a nice firm fabric that is going to hold its shape when you stitch your patch. And that's exactly what we want. You can see this is a twill. The grain is very fine so that we get those nice crisp designs. Okay, so we have our colorways here. So let's take a look. So we've got our athletics here. These are the colors, like we said, that you think of when you think sports teams. So we've got that beautiful royal purple there, a light and a dark blue, green, a gold. And then we've got that nice orange, red, and white. So those are your athletic colors. You get 1 each of these in the athletic Poly Patch Twill set. Now the brights. So the brights, you've got your turquoise, a lime green, an orange, a lavender, light and a dark pink, the white and the orange. So again, in the brights, you get 1 each of these. And also the uniforms. Now, I know that the uniforms just don't seem to be as attractive, but let me tell you, they are necessary. In your uniforms, you get your black, which you're definitely going to use a ton, but you have your earth tone colors too. So your grays, your tans, your browns. And then we have these, the green, the forest green, the navy blue, and that cranberry color. So these are your uniform colors. Now, the uniform colors also are the colors I use to stitch quite a few of my men's patches. So take a look at this. How cute is this? This is a little toiletry bag. And I created a patch. There's a pocket on the inside that I didn't want to stitch through and close, so the patch was the perfect option. And I created this cute little design right in my Patch and Applique Maker software program. Also, we mentioned structured hats. So I created this cute little patch here because the structured hats I can't flatten out for my flatbed embroidery machines. So I created this design using the gray from the uniform color, but look what I did here. I actually made a second patch, and instead of applying this permanently, I actually put Velcro on the back of the patch and on the hat so that you can interchange your patches. So isn't that cool? So you can do so many things with your patches. It really, they are just so much fun. I love putting all these really fun sayings and just having a variety of options of things that I can do. So I love that. So that's using the Poly Patch Twill. So each of those, $25.19, you can choose, or you can have them all if you'd like. We also put together these companion thread sets. The companion thread are matching colors, and those matching colors are perfectly picked to match the colors in the Poly Patch Twill sets. So if you need to match the color around the edge of your patch, these are those perfect colors. So these are $23.68 each, and you can choose the set that matches your color assortment of Poly Patch Twill. So I love having those on hand. Sometimes you want that matching color, but other times you want that contrasting color. And either way, is perfect. It really just depends on the look that you are going for. But I will tell you, having that matching color versus the contrasting color is really helpful from time to time. And I'll show you some examples of that in just a bit. So your Patch Party Starter Kit, if you love the poly patch twill and want to make those professional looking patches, and you also want the companion thread set, get the starter pack. The starter kit has both of those items, but we also throw in a design collection that is blank patch shapes. Those blank patch shapes you can use right on your embroidery machine and merge a design that you already own to stitch a patch design. So $139.99 for that particular set. So make sure you grab that below the presentation. And don't forget, you'll get that free shipping for the next 48 hours. You can shop. Use the Washington free ship code to get the free shipping, and it'll come right to your door. But in this kit, make sure you watch for a download for the blank patch shapes. So now let's talk about the making a patch shape process. So there's several different ways to do this once you get your design, and we're going to go over each of them. So I bet you can do one of these already at home. You don't need any special tools to do quite a few of these. So you can pre-cut your patch shape, which is actually my preferred method, or you can use scissors to trim in the hoop or cut your patch shape out after. So the pre-cut options, you can use an electronic cutter, you can print a template, or you can also stitch a placement line and cut out that shape right from your poly patch twill. So let's start with the pre-cut option. Now, when you are pre-cutting your patch shape, you want to use that heavy-duty water-soluble stabilizer that we talked about earlier. You'll stitch your placement line. You will pre-cut your shape, use a little bit of spray adhesive, and then place that down and finish stitching the remainder of the design. So I like big hoops. That's one of the designs built into the software, so that's one of my favorite ones too. So when you're pre-cutting, you're going to have a shape that's already the size you need. Spray a little adhesive on there to hold it in place. Now, when you're pre-cutting, you want to use that heavy-duty water-soluble stabilizer because we want to make sure that it rips away from the edge nice and clean. A lot of people ask, why can't I use a wash-away stabilizer like the Sew and Wash, which is a mesh-type water-soluble stabilizer? And why can't we use a tearaway? Well, the tearaway a lot of times will leave the fuzzy edges. If you use a crisp tearaway, it usually perforates too soon. Also, the Sew and Wash, I don't like to submerge my patches in water. Even though this is a water soluble, I can rip away actually the majority of this before I'm ready to finish my patch. So in the hoop, you'll have that stabilizer hooped, and then put your patch shape down. You can see here I'm using a multi-needle embroidery machine to do this, but I love this method because you don't have as much waste of your poly patch twill. I can cut shapes out of the small scraps, and it gives me a very professional, clean edge. So that's my favorite. However, you do need to use that spray adhesive to hold that in place. You may have another solution that you use, but spray adhesive is what the professionals use. Now, containing that spray is sometimes a challenge. So Dime came up with a solution for containing your spray adhesive. We have our spray tent. So this is a 14 by 14 tabletop tent that is going to contain your spray so that you can spray your applique pieces or even your patch pieces in order to contain that and make sure that your patch piece stays in place with your adhesive spray. Folds up small, easy to store, and so take a look at this little video here. So the spray tent sits on a tabletop, as you can see here, and we actually are putting a piece of paper in the bottom, which is not absolutely necessary, but it gives you the opportunity to just reduce the buildup of the spray. Then you're going to give your pieces a little spritz, and less is more when you're spraying the spray adhesive. And then you're ready to place those down on your pre-cut shape. So notice that long apron in the front there. So it protects your area and just keeps that spray. And it actually folds up really nice and small. about a 5-inch round circle or so. And so I usually just throw it in a drawer whenever I fold it up. So really easy. So I love that. So now pre-cutting your shape. So there's several different ways that you can pre-cut, and I bet one of these methods will work for each of you out there. You can use a digital cutter if you have one. So does anybody out there have a digital cutter that they use for cutting their fabric or crafting? You can certainly use that. The poly patch twill is very firm, so you actually don't have to do any prep to get it to cut on your digital cutter. Just place it on your mat and make sure you do your test for your depth, and you can cut those templates. So super easy. If you don't have a digital cutter, you can print a template onto paper or our print and stick target paper. You print a template of the shape outline, cut that out of your poly patch twill. So then you've got something that looks like this. And then you've got a pre-cut shape. So I know that all of us have scissors. The majority of us probably have a printer and some paper. So that's an easy way to get a pre-cut shape. So when I'm pre-cutting my pieces, I absolutely love using our print and stick target paper. It's an adhesive template paper so that when I place it on my poly patch twill, it doesn't move around while I'm cutting. Another way that you can actually cut a template is to stitch your placement line directly on the poly patch twill. So look in this picture, we have a standard hoop with the poly patch twill hooped, and then you stitch that placement line. When you take that out of the hoop, you can trim along that placement line to get your pre-cut shape. So just another option that you have for pre-cutting. If you use this method, don't forget to back up and start stitching your design from the beginning, because usually we've stitched that placement line on our poly patch twill. So we want to go back and stitch that again on the stabilizer that we hoop. So just make sure that you remember to do that. Now, when you're cutting the poly patch twill, I love, love, love these Kerning Bookley scissors. These have a serrated blade, which makes it really easy to cut that poly patch twill. It kind of grips it. But I love also the large, comfortable handles with the Kerning Bookley scissors. They are super soft and very comfortable, and they come with a really nice blade cover as well. So now another option is to cut your patch after you have stitched it. So you can hoop your poly patch twill in your hoop, stitch the entire patch design, and then just cut around the outside with your scissors. So this is the easiest and the quickest way to get started stitching. So I love this, and I actually use this in cases where I've got elements in my design that are not freestanding, or I want to leave a little extra fabric around the edge to give me the border effect. So, and I have some examples here that I'm going to show you. Now, this is another instance where you might want to match the thread to the stitching on the design so it's not as noticeable. So let me head over and show you these examples here. So this is a great example of matching your poly patch twill. So in these two examples here, same exact design. And notice this design here, I have the matching thread to the poly patch twill, so you don't notice that excess poly patch twill around the edge. But in this case, I used a contrasting thread to my poly patch twill, so you can actually see my trimmed border around the edge. So both of these are correct. You can do either, depends on the design sometimes, or whatever method works best for you. In this example here, notice that I can't see that poly patch twill. I did trim it after the fact, but because it matches so perfectly, you don't notice it. The same thing with the lemon here. My leaves are not freestanding, so I needed to make sure they were stitched on that poly patch twill. So then I stitched the entire thing and trimmed it after the fact. And also this one, I left a little border. I thought it looked really cute around the name patch to leave a little bit of extra border around there. And here are my Kerning Bookley scissors. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Look at this, guys. How soft these are. Talk about the most comfortable scissors to use. And it's got this blade cover because they obviously are super sharp and you want to protect that. So I love those for cutting, a really good option. So while I'm here under my camera, let me show you something else. So hooping the poly patch twill, do we have any people out there that are snap hoop users? So do we have any snap hoop monster users out there? So you can hoop the poly patch twill with your standard hoop, which is what I've done on this end here. You can see that I've got kind of a permanent crease around my the shape of my hoop. That's called hoop burn. And because this fabric is nice and firm, that is made a crease that I probably won't be able to get completely out. So I love using my snap hoop monster with my poly patch twill. Our snap hoop monster is our magnetic hoops. These magnetic hoops come in 3 parts. This attaches to your embroidery machine the same exact way that your standard hoop does. And the magnet will magnetize to the metal base with your fabric in between. Now, because we don't have an inner ring that we push inside of our outer ring, we don't get hoop burn with these hoops. So hooping is really easy. I'm going to separate my pieces here. I'm going to place my hoop down. I'm on my hoop mat, and my hoop mat is actually a silicone mat that'll keep it from sliding around. But I'm going to place my poly patch twill down, take my magnetic frame there, and I can actually fill through the poly patch twill to make sure that I'm nice and lined up before I drop this into place. And then just make sure you keep your fingers out of the way. I usually use my hand here to kind of smooth everything out, but then I lower slightly, but then you really just want to drop that in place. And I bet you could probably hear that snap. And so just drop that into place. Now, when I am ready to take this out of the hoop, if I'm ready to stitch my design, take it out of the hoop, and look, I have no marks on my poly patch twill. So I've got much more of my poly patch twill that I can use. So just a really easy way to hoop your poly patch twill. And again, you can use your standard hoop. So that's certainly an option as well. And so here are a couple of those examples using our snap hoop monster, both on the multi-needle and the single needle. You can see I'm stitching these designs directly onto the poly patch twill. And then when I take them out, I just cut around the edge there. So like I said, do we have any snap hoop users out there? I'd love to hear if you guys love your hoop. I heard Sue say in the beginning that she loves her snap hoop monsters. They're so easy to use for sure. So now selecting your hoop, you can use these for a variety of different projects. So not just patches, but you can use these for hooping your regular embroidery. But you want to make sure that you're choosing a hoop that works with your embroidery machine. So when you're selecting your hoop down below, make sure that you select the View Product button under the machine manufacturer name. So click the View Product button under the manufacturer of your machine so you know that you're getting a list of all of the brother hoops. And then choose from the drop-down list there the size, but also make sure that you select from the second drop-down the machine model. That's going to make sure that you're choosing a hoop that works with your machine. If you get the unavailable button, that probably means that you've chosen one that won't work with your model. And don't forget, these are large items, so getting free shipping is really nice to have. So get these while they're on special, but also use that free ship code in order to get your free shipping. So I love that. Now, you can also do trimming in the hoop very much like, well, actually the same as we do applique. You get that placement stitch, you place down a large piece of the poly patch twill. You're then going to use your scissors to trim around the edge. And then once you put that back on the embroidery machine and continue stitching, you can then have your finished patch, rip it out of your stabilizer, and you're ready to go. So all of these are options. All of these work great. Use the method that works best for you. I love pre-cutting my shapes. It just makes it easier and quicker for me, but there is something out there for everyone. So what method do you guys think you would prefer? Do you like the idea of pre-cutting, or would you do the trimming in the hoop, or just trim after it's all done stitching? So now, before we take our break, I'm going to show you some quick examples again in the software, and then we'll do our Q&A. So if you have your questions, make sure that you're asking them. We're going to take our Q&A break here in just a bit. So, all right, so I'm going to open up my software, and then I am going to open up a new page before we select a new design here. And let's do a design where we want our patch shape to contour to the shape. This is exactly how I made my name tape. So I'm going to go back into the patch and applique maker, but what I'm about to show you works with your own design as well. So I'm going to go into the back to school section here and choose that cute little chemistry set. I always was a science and a math nerd in school, so that's perfect for me. So this cute little set. So now this is a built-in applique design that you could save and you could stitch it just as it is as an applique. You could also put one of those frames around it that we talked about earlier where you just select a shape. So it could be one of these borders. It could be just something as simple as a square, a circle, an oval that you put around it. But we have a way of making a shape that contours to your design or your name. So you select your shape and then just choose this create outline up here on the toolbar and put in the distance. So I'm going to put in a 1/4 inch. I've created this design and I was really pleased with that distance. So I'm going to say okay. And what it does is it traces around my design for me. And then all I have to do is one click, turn that into an applique. Now, when I say applique, that means to the software that it's going to give you a placement stitch and a tack down and then that nice finishing stitch. So, but we're going to make it a patch. So what I would do next is choose that outline, choose my t-shirt style, and I would make that a pre-cut patch shape. So if you're going to do a pre-cut, choose the pre-cut shape, patch shape, because it's going to optimize the design for a pre-cut shape. So what that means is it actually converts the design so that it still gives you that placement line that we're used to, but instead of a run stitch tack down, it gives you a zigzag so that it really does grab onto that that pre-cut shape that you've put down. And then it's going to stitch the remainder of our design. And then the last thing it does is that nice finishing stitch. So that's the way that you can create a custom shape, is just to use that create outline feature, and it'll follow along any shape that you have selected. Now, also while I'm here, let's talk about saving those pre-cut shapes. So I'm going to ungroup my design here. Now, not only do we want to pre-cut, if you are pre-cutting, pre-cut the outline shape for your patch, but these are applique pieces here that I could pre-cut my fabric if I wanted. So if I select each of the shapes that I want to pre-cut, and then click my cutter icon right here, it actually will create cut files for me for my design. So take a look at this. So I have my outline of my patch. If I click through here, I've got my flask, I've got my beaker, and then even the little applique shapes for the plugs. So it really makes it simple. And now all I need to do, see, I've got my Brother Scan and Cut chosen. I just click my save option. And from this list, remember I could save to all of the machine formats, but I also can save here from my cutter option to the FCM for my Scan and Cut, or SVG, DXF, or PLT for other cutter formats. So you can save those and take those to your machine to pre-cut your pieces. Now, if you don't have a digital cutter, no worries. Just choose paper, and when you click save, you'll see that it goes right to the PDF option, and it saves an actual size template that you can print out. So really easy and simple to do. So let me show you one more thing before we take our break here. So the patches, remember I said we've got all these built-in shapes here. We also have these templates. These are designs that we've actually created for you in several different categories that you can select and customize them. So I'm going to choose this blank to patch. So it's in the sewing category, but these little open areas actually will allow you to change these to different little characters. So in the charm settings, it opens right up. I'm going to go to the holiday, and there's a little heart in here that we can use. There we go. And then so I love to, and then I go back after I select that one to the little designs, and I can put anything that I love to do. So I love to play baseball, soccer, swim, fishing. I love to play pool, skydiving, kayaking, snowmobiling. I mean, there's so many things. In the back to school, there's a little book. So I'm going to say I love to read. I can change the I and the to if I want, but those are already set. So I'm just going to leave those. I love that. And then when I say okay, I have a cute little patch that is done and ready to go. So I think that that's super, super simple. And then you can also edit patches as well. If I go into my patch or my applique options, we have this emoji option here. If you want to build an emoji that you don't have, you certainly can do that. So I can select 2 different emoji options. So I love the laughing so hard that we're crying. I think that we all should laugh and that hard in our life. But I can actually borrow just the tear from the poor little sad emoji here. Bring it over to my laughing so hard I'm crying, mirror image somewhere. There we go. And I'm trying to go really fast. And then I've got that laughing so hard that I'm crying, which I think we all should laugh that hard, right? So I love that. So you can actually use the parts and pieces. So that's a good example to the question that was asked earlier about the parts. If the parts aren't there, you can still ungroup and use them elsewhere, but we do have a lot of categories that have the parts. So, okay, so I'll pause right there. So Diana, do we have any questions or comments that we want to address? I'm a little behind on my time. I think I've just gotten so excited about these patches, Diana.
I know. Well, it's so fun to make patches, and
They
I,
are.
like you, I kind of get lost in the decorating, right?
Yes.
It's so fun. But we do have a few questions. But first, you had asked if we had any snap hoopers, and you know we always do have at least somebody, but we have several. And Debbie says that they make her life easier, and she loves them, and all in caps. So you know she means business when she says it all in caps like that.
That's right. That's right. I love that. I do agree. They are a huge time saver.
Oh, super time saver. And Wanda just got her first snap hoop. She hasn't had a chance to use it yet, but you know she's going to have fun once she does.
Congratulations to Wanda.
And Sheila uses her snap hoop for something that I use my snap hoop for all the time. She uses it to quilt her quilt sandwiches. And I just think there's nothing better than a snap hoop to quilt with because it makes it so much easier.
I agree.
And then we did have a question from one of our guests today asking if the poly patch came in individual sheets. And I did tell her that we do have some larger individual sheets, but if she needs those, she can contact Sue at the Sewing Gallery, and Sue can help her to order that. Is that right?
That is absolutely right, Diana. So yeah, so let Sue know that's what you're looking for. We don't have them in this presentation. We just have the bundles that have the 8 colors and the color assortment. But yes, it is a possibility. So just let Sue know you're interested, and she can hook you up.
And I think you answered this next question. How do you keep a pre-cut patch shape on the stabilizer? And you showed the adhesive spray and that great little spray tent. I love that spray tent. I use.
Oh, I know. It's the simple things in life.
I know. And it's one of those things you didn't know what you needed. You needed something, but you didn't know what. And it's the perfect solution. And
So true.
one more question, which I think will lead you back into the rest of your presentation. Amy is asking, once we've made these patches, how do we attach them to something? And I bet you'll cover that.
That is Diana. So yes, you are perfect at throwing me those segues. So yes, that is coming up. And there's a variety of ways you could do it. And we do have a product if people do like to just fuse it on. If you're that girl that just wants to fuse it and be done with it. So I'll show that product too. And we have a video of making them fusible. So that's coming up next. So then I'll get back to it so I can get right to those details. So thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I just showed the patch and applique maker one last time. So just to remind you, the patch and applique maker bundle includes that free 30-minute lesson. Whoops, sorry, I'm going too fast here. The 30-minute bundle and our 30-minute lesson and the 5 PDF tutorials. So that's your bundle option. That is the price of the software. We call it the bundle, but it is the price of the software, and we just give you these options for free. So it's nice to get them at an event when you get some extra free goodies. So that's available below. Again, that's your price for the remainder of the weekend that you can keep doing your shopping. The Stitch Ripper, I'll show you this quickly before we get to the fusing the patch, but the Stitch Ripper is a fairly new tool for Dime, but our patches we already know solve issues, and so we can generally cover up a mistake with a patch. But I also am aware that sometimes the patch is not feasible because someone's asked you to stitch on something and you've had a mishap and you need to undo. The Stitch Ripper is your friend. It is an electronic Stitch Ripper, 2 blade sizes that will allow you to make quick work of removing some stitches. So before we get to the attachment, let's watch this video of exactly how the
Stitch Ripper, your solution to removing unwanted stitches. Work from the back and place Stitch Ripper's blade right on the bobbin threads. When I created this patch, it was supposed to say steamboat, not dreamboat. So as I work along removing that R, I just work from the back, flip it over to remove the excess threads, and the use of a seam ripper is helpful when trying to remove those last running stitches that are in the underlay. If you're particular like I am about your embroidery, you want to remove every last unwanted thread. Take your time because it's worth it. You'll be able to fix this. And clean it up with a lint roller. To position the new text, print a template. I use Print and Stick Target template paper and place it right in the place that I wanted to stitch, using a ruler to verify placement.
Super easy. And that Print and Stick Target paper is what we were talking about earlier about pre-cutting your patch shape. So it's actually, as you can see, has multiple uses. So I really love that. So, okay, so now to answer that question, you've stitched your patch and now what do I do? How do I attach it? Well, it's really up to you, but your project itself actually may determine which type of method you use to attach it. So you can sew it on by hand. You can use your machine to sew it on using your blanket stitch, or we refer to it as an E-stitch in our software. Fabric glue, if you've got a permanent fabric glue to glue your patches on. You can also use a pressure sensitive fusible and an iron-on fusible. So there's so many different ways that you can stitch your patches on. And like I said, your project itself may determine, because if you can't get it under the needle of your machine to stitch it on with the machine, it may have to be done fusible. If your item is not heat safe, then we obviously can't fuse onto it. So your project will determine a lot of that. And so what do you think your preferred method of attaching a patch is? So tell us that over in the chat, and I'll tell you mine is definitely fusing it on because the sewing is my favorite part. So I want to embroider, I want to stitch. And so that all the stuff that comes after that is definitely not my favorite. So I like to fuse it. So we do have our patch attach product. This is a fusible permanent adhesive that you can apply to your patches to make it a fusible patch. And this is a very aggressive bond, meaning once you iron that on properly, it's going to stay for the life of the item. It's not going to come out. And so let's watch this short little video of fusing on your patch.
To use patch attach to make your patches fusible, make sure to use a non-stick pressing sheet, then cut a piece of the patch attach slightly larger than your patch. Place your patch on your area right side down and the shiny side of the patch attach over the back. The paper side will be up. Use your iron to press for 8 to 10 seconds. Allow it to cool before removing from your pressing sheet. Once cooled, remove from your nonstick pressing sheet, and then remove your patch from the release paper. The patch attach will remain on the back of your patch, and you can remove any excess from around the edges. Now your patch is ready to be fused.
So really easy to apply that patch attach, and then you're just going to fuse it onto your item. Like I said, just make sure your item is heat safe. So I have a couple of more tips here that I want to share with you. So one thing, I like to use like a wool pressing pad whenever I'm fusing anything that's embroidered, because the wool press pad will allow your stitches to actually sink into the wool but not crush them. So I love to iron like on something like our wool press pad, something that's going to protect your stitches and allow them to not get crushed when you're ironing. So the other things here that I have is just a couple of tips for you. If you're doing something like we talked about earlier where you're going to cut it out after, so this is just stitched on my poly patch twill. No iron on or anything yet. And before I cut that out, I actually usually fuse my patch attach to the back before I do the trimming, because that is a fusible product. It then keeps my edges really nice and smooth. So that's one tip. And that's the same thing I did here. I've actually already got it fused on the back. And then you, once you're ready to fuse it, you'll just remove your release paper here. And then that exposes that fusible stuff that we ironed on. But this is a good example. This one, I didn't put a border or anything around the design because I had planned to cut out that border. And I ironed that on this cute little baby bodysuit here with this little sleeve. So look how tiny. But I was able to turn that inside out and get it ironed. The other thing to know is that when you are ironing on the patch attach, you want to iron from the back. So this product is attracted to the heat. So you want to put your iron on the back so that it draws the product into the fabric. That's what's going to make that permanent bond. So just remember that the patch attach is attracted to the heat. So if you want it to bond with your fabric, iron from the back so it will draw that into your fabric. Now, once you've completed your patch, this is one thing that I just wanted to point out here. So this one here, we're stitching on that water-soluble stabilizer. So you want to remove any excess of that. You don't have to be every little tiny piece, but you can kind of see here under my camera there, you want to rip that away. So rip all that water-soluble away before you iron on your patch attach. You can also pre-cut your patch attach pieces. I use the same cut file that I saved from the software to cut that, and it's the perfect size. And these little threads at the top where it finishes the design, I usually just tuck them under and let the fusible trap them and hold that in. So you can see my long threads running there in the back, but I've already applied that patch attach. So now this is ready to be fused. So I would put it on my item and then iron from the back side. So if you were going to put it here, you would then flip that over and iron from the back side of the fabric so that it tracks and draws into the fabric. So just a couple of extra tips there. And that's exactly what's on this slide here we just talked about. So ironing from the back, you can cut a pre-cut shape, or as you saw in the video, it really just rips away cleanly from the edges. So that's all really up to you. The ironing instructions for the heat, the temperature of your iron are actually inside this product. So it tells you exactly what temperature for your iron to use. Now, we have talked about the heavy duty water soluble stabilizer and the fusible patch attach product to make that a fusible item. If you are purchasing both of those, I recommend getting this kit. This actually puts both of them together with some free patch designs. So anytime we bundle items together, you get additional savings. So the patch maker kit is a great option. In fact, everything that we've talked about today, I have some bundles down below that put pretty much everything that we're talking about in these 4 items. So the patch and Applique Maker software is going to include your download for your lesson and your oh my goodness, your PDFs. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here. And then you're going to get the poly patch twill with the blank patch shapes. You're going to get the water soluble stabilizer and the patch attached with the patch maker kit. And with the spray tint, we actually bundle it with the 505 spray adhesive. So these are additional savings when they're in a bundle. So snag those below to get your special deals. Now, just a few more things before we go that we think are helpful tools. For one, the Totally Tubular Hooping Station is a fantastic tool to have on hand when you're fusing patches, because sometimes we need to iron in really tiny places. These are a set of narrow boards that you can really get into some tight places, and they're perfect for bag corners, tiny little sleeves, children's garments, pants legs, necklines, and it has 3 different interchangeable plates. So 1.5 inch, 3 inch, and 6 inch plates. So you can get into all kinds of little tight areas. So the Totally Tubular Hooping Station, each of these are interchangeable on one post. So that means when you disassemble, it stores flat and it just pops off that plate really easily. So in fact, I have this really awesome video of how to use the Totally Tubular pressing station to fuse on a patch on a really tiny shoe. So take a look at this.
So we have a small opening on a child's shoe. So I'm going to switch out my boards. It's so easy to do. Just simply slide that off and slide the other one in place. There we have it. And now just put that shoe right over the tongue of the board. And we want to place our patch, cover that with our Teflon sheet, and give that a good press, to about 8 or 10. So let's go ahead and do the other shoe. Same thing. We want it to read POW down. You could even use an angle to it to make it a little bit more interesting. And again, I'm going to cover it with that pressing sheet. And once you, give it a little, just turn it a little bit more. We'll let that cool before, and really adhere.
So that is the Totally Tubular Hooping Station, and that is super impressive with that little tiny shoe, right? So not a necessity, but just a nice extra tool to learn about, to know that it's out there in case that looks helpful to you. Also, the wool press pads are available for the Totally Tubular Hooping Station. This is a set of 2 wool press pads that are a 3 inch and a 6 inch by 13. So they're already cut the size that you need for your pressing station. So you can add those wool press pads to your cart too. And I actually use these individually without my Totally Tubular pressing station from time to time. So they're great in both instances. And we talked about this just briefly, but you certainly can jazz up your patches with all kinds of different different types of threads and mylar, even foam, to give them a completely different look. So here are some examples. So using our Kingstar metallic thread is really, really simple. It stitches beautifully. Well, I'm going too fast again. And it stitches without any extra effort. Like, you don't have to put this metallic really far away, or you don't have to slow your machine down. It really is an impressive metallic thread. So I love this. So $12.79 for any of these spools. And also foam. We talked about adding foam to the edge of your embroidery. These shapes are built into the software, so you can create foam applique or foam patches with these shapes, and it just adds a little bit of a dimension there to you. So when you're using the 3D foam, make sure you're using the embroidery foam. Embroidery foam and the craft foam are definitely not the same type of material. This is meant to be laundered, the embroidery foam is, and also it's a little bit thicker than your craft foam to give it a little bit more height. So this comes in a package of a variety of different colors because we do recommend using the color closest to your thread, so that if you've got any little bits of that poke through, you won't even notice them if you're kind of making sure that your thread and your foam blend all together. So just another way to jazz up your patches. And Mylar. So Mylar is a film that we can stitch over top of and see through our stitches. If you have a loosely dense fill stitch, you can see the sparkle of the Mylar through your stitches. So it's just another way to add some glisten and some shine to your stitches. And we do actually have a patch that's built into the templates that is already set up for Mylar. It's got the right density so that you can see through it. And I'll show you that one under my camera before we go here. So let's take a look at these last few little items here. And if you have any questions, make sure that you're getting those in. So I have my little foam alone patch here, and I created that from one of the foam shapes. And I know it's nearly impossible to tell on the camera, but the edge of my design here, there's foam underneath, so it's all raised. The text is just regular text, but you certainly could do a foam text if you have one. But then look at the shine on this patch. So this has got Mylar in the background and then the loosely dense fill stitches over top for this particular patch. So to give a little extra glisten. Here I used my metallic thread and my name tape as well. And then we actually just saw this one, but I wanted to show you, I actually have one that has been laundered. So I wanted to show you how nice. So this one actually has been washed and dried, and look at my patch. That is not coming off. So it is a permanent bond when you're using that patch attach product. I use the same patch attach product here. This is actually a pocket, and black was not the proper choice for under the camera, but I didn't want to stitch the pocket closed, so fusing it on was a really good choice. So that's why I was saying that your project's probably going to determine how you attach your patches. So, all right, guys, so that's all I have for this presentation. So before we go, though, let's see if we have any last questions or comments. So Diana, anything that we need to take care of from the chat before we go?
Hi, Ashley. Folks want to know again what's included in the patch and applique bundle. And I believe they're talking about the software, plus they get I think it's 5 PDF lessons and that 30-minute free tutorial with their Dime Educator, which is such a fantastic option for learning. We did have a question from Sheila. She was wanting to know about how big a patch you can make. And I explained that really that kind of depends on how big your hoop can be. And I told her that I would point out a couple larger ones to her. So that one there, and this one here, and this one right here, Sheila, were all made in 8x8 hoops. So you can make them in a larger hoop, right, Ashley? But are there any other tips you'd like to give about designing for a larger patch, Ashley? Anything?
Not really in particular. I agree with you. You're really limited by your hoop size because we probably wouldn't want to split a patch and stitch it in 2 separate hoopings. But yeah, so you're limited kind of by your hoop size. But we've got some pretty big hoops out there, so we can make some pretty large patches. So
you know, I've seen some on the back of a jacket that was made in much larger hoops. So, you know, just play around, Sheila. It's your patch. And if you want to make it bigger, you go right ahead if you can do that in a larger hoop. But I just want to say thank you, everyone over in the chat, for allowing me to be with you today. It was my pleasure to host you over there. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate your help too, Diana, in the chat, answering questions and then bringing those on the screen live. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thanks for everybody that attended. And I agree, thanks to the Sewing Gallery for sharing their fans and followers with us for the last 90 minutes. We really appreciate them, and we wouldn't be here without them. So until we have another event with Sewing Gallery and Dime, we are going to say thank you so much for attending, and bye for now.